Every major crisis in your life was once a tiny problem that was very easy to solve, but you never really did. Why? You see, we are wired to ignore the easy until it becomes impossible to solve. Today, we are going to talk about how to solve a crisis before it even starts. So, two concepts I want you to know before we start this video. One is compounding, and the other is awareness. Let's talk about awareness first. Every problem in your life is a problem because it requires an awareness that is greater than your default level of awareness. 2 plus 2 is 4. That is not a problem for you because you can answer it quickly without even giving it a second thought. But 78 plus 48 is a problem because it will require more of your awareness. So problems require your awareness more than your default level. Okay? The second thing is compounding. Universe works through compounding too. We don't really notice it other than the financial aspect of compounding, but universe works in compounding. Bacteria grow exponentially. If you remember the pandemic, it happened really quickly. Okay. Um, let's say you leave a patch of soil alone, patch of land alone, and you see the wild plants growing on it. They will never really grow linearly. What they will grow is like this exponentially. So that is compounding happening. So in your life, things are compounding. You just haven't noticed it yet. Okay? The patterns keep repeating, and every step that is happening makes the next step easier to happen. Okay? So universe is working through compounding. Now, let's talk about why it is so difficult to solve easy problems in the beginning. This is anatomy of a crisis. Okay? There are a few fallacies that are happening in our mind. There may be more, but these are the few that I want to talk about. One is anchor bias. So, funny thing, my mom wanted to buy gold. Gold was 60k for 10 grams, 24 carat. I told her gold will go to 2 lakh rupees for 10 grams and you should buy it now. She didn't buy it. The gold rose in price to 80,000 for 10 grams. Now, I told her again, buy gold, it will go to 2 lakh rupees. Now, since the price of gold has risen, she doesn't want to buy because she wants it to fall back to 60k for her to buy. She has already anchored a price in her mind. Similarly, let's say a problem requires 10 minutes of effort for you to solve it. Now, over time, the problem has become worse and it will require you to put 30 minutes of effort. Now, what will happen is you will ignore the problem because you want it to go back down to where it required only 10 minutes to solve. Okay, this is anchor bias happening. The next bias is sunk cost fallacy. Let's say you ignore the problem for a week. And now, when it comes to solving the problem, you're thinking, what if I ignore it for 2 more days? Let's say you ignore the problem for a month. Now you start thinking, what if I ignore it for 1 more week? I don't want to get to it now. That is sunk cost fallacy. The next thing is momentum. Once you have ignored the problem multiple times, let's say you ignore it for a week, then for a month, then for a year, then you will start believing that the problem was impossible to solve in the first place. Okay? This is momentum working against you. Okay? Um, there will come a time where this small problem, just because of you not solving it for such a long time, will become a crisis. Okay, so that is compounding happening in your mind, wherein you start believing the problem gets more and more impossible. Even if the problem doesn't change, this might happen, but the problem does change with time. What happens is the problem slowly and gradually gets more and more complicated, and it will require more and more awareness uh, to solve it, which will make it even more difficult to solve it. If you have such a difficult problem, I have a video of how to resolve difficult problems step by step. You can check that out. Now, let's talk about how to solve this problem. Since it is a very small problem, I'm pretty sure you already know how to solve it, but I'll give you a few pointers here. First thing is you should map it out. You should see how it is linking to other problems in your life. The small problem, once you start solving it, it will change the other problems surrounding it. So always, map the problem out. Notice where the problem began and notice how the problem has changed over time. Okay. And then try to imagine what will this problem look like in a month from now. That will give you an idea of the patterns happening behind the scenes. Okay, what are the patterns happening that are not obvious to a layman? uh, if you notice the problem getting complicated over time, you will see why it is getting complicated. This will help you change your environment so the compounding works in your favor. Okay. Right now, when the problem is getting complicated, the compounding is working against you, but you can change your environment to make the compounding work for you. For example, let's say you have a eating disorder. Uh, the environment is working against you, but you can change your environment. And if you have a problem with eating, you can, clean your fridge, clear the pantry, you know, that will create an environment that does not let compounding happen against you. So change your environment. All right. Notice that first solutions are often really good when solving little, small, insignificant problems. 80% of the times, I think the first solution that comes to your head will be enough to solve it. So be proactive and just apply first solutions to the problem and see how they make you feel, how the problem changes. Is it resolved? Is it not resolved? Okay. The last thing I want to say is notice that solving small problems is the lazy way of solving it. Now, a lot of you might feel overwhelmed when I'm talking about, solving all little problems coming up in your life before they, become more complicated. It might look tough, but you will realize that in the long term, this is the lazy way of, living life. You can solve majority of your problems before they get to that point wherein they become difficult. If you just put 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, solve small problems before they become huge. Okay, now here is my twist to this. When you see a problem escalating, getting complicated, the patterns that are there uh, will be similar to other problems escalating too. So let's say you work in a company, you see a small thing get ignored and it becomes a major accounting issue later on. The same company will also have a small HR issue that will escalate and become a major lawsuit later on. So, when you see a problem escalating in a context, notice the other problems surrounding it, and you will see a lot of times the pattern of that escalation is the same. Here it was willful ignorance or, lack of accountability. So notice the pattern that is leading to the problem getting worse. And in that context, a lot of other problems will be getting worse because of that same pattern. The other thing I want to say is if you are dealing with a problem and you are solving problems before they become crisis, make sure you are noticed for it. Um, Make sure that you are solving your own life problems before you're doing it for somebody else. Let's say you are employed in a job and you're solving major crises before they happen and nobody is noticing that. You won't get credit for it, and they won't really um, realize the effort you're putting. By the time you leave the job, then maybe they'll realize that, how pivotal your role was. But I would say that if you are doing it on a work setting, make sure that your crisis aversion is recognized or is being observed. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. If you like this video, please give a like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Have a good day and a good life. Thank you.